Well, this is a bit different. I am coming to you live from Herring Cove Provincial Park here on Campobello Island. Uh, and my arm might get too tired to hold my phone up like this for 5 minutes, but I am here doing the daily live for five, camping with my family. Our tents are somewhere back there. I have spent the last 2 wonderful days on Campobello Island. If you have not been on Campobello Island, I can't recommend it enough. It is so magical and so beautiful, but I go back to the magical because there's just a feeling when you get here. It's gorgeous everywhere you look. The residents are so kind, so friendly. Even the ones that don't live here year round. No offense to you at all. I have been knocking on doors along the North Road yesterday with a team of fellow Greens on my door knocking volunteer crew. And if you can join that crew and help me knock on 5,000 doors in the riding of Saint Croix, I would be super grateful. I'm literally propping my arm up here. Um, but and then I went out with my daughter today, my 12-year-old daughter, Oka, and we both so enjoyed ourselves. And we're meeting many people who are only residents of the island for 6 months. But that's okay. I still wanted to ask them what their concerns were, what life is like on the island. And it's funny because a lot of them are cheering for voters to make the right decision. They're not residents here, but they are hoping that residents can and do make good choices. And so some of the things I'm hearing at the door in this beautiful place as I talk to community leaders, but also again just your normal person who lives, works, plays on the island, is concerned for senior housing. So there is a sense. I asked somebody who works in seniors housing today, what is the option for when a senior does not want to go to a nursing home, but does not want to lose where they live, but they can't keep up their house. Um, and she said there is absolutely no option for that, which is really, really sad. So Deer Island has about 900 residents. And I talked to another gentleman. I knocked on his door, and he was older. And I asked him. Actually, he told me that um, he cannot. So he talks to somebody who is a landscaper, and the landscaper is a business person, obviously, who wants to build out his business on Campobello Island here, and he can't get cruise over here because there is no ferry. There's no year-round ferry. So I've talked about this before. Healthcare has come up here. The sense of wanting more primary care, better primary care. Residents are concerned about the state of tourism and that the island population is in decline. They can't get workers here to flush out the tourism industry. They can't get people here visiting as easily. And we are no stranger to this in St. Croix. I talk about how in St. Andrews is this vibrant community of about 1,200 residents, not that much bigger than Campobello when you think about it. And they are aware that tourism is the major industry that drives them. Now, the islands are interesting because you have the two main industries that are driving the islands, and by that I mean Deer Island, Grand Manan, and Campobello, are fishing, the fishing industry, and the tourism industry, which means the province needs to do everything it can, I believe, to continue to build and develop those out so that these islands have an incredible future. They all have that in common. The other thing that they have in common, Grand Manan, Deer Island, and Campobello, is that year-round ferry. And that keeps coming up at the doors. Like I said, gentleman who said, my landscaper can't get crews to continue to build his business here on Campobello because the people who he would hire, they don't have passports. The only way to get here is through the United States, where you need a passport, or to pay the private ferry, where it costs about $40 to get to get here on the ferry. And so, of course, somebody who is working is not going to want to pay $40, even if they make $20 an hour. That's 2 hours of their workday just on transportation for the ferry. Friends, I can't emphasize this enough. As your green MLA, I will work so hard to do what in 2016 the Fundy Isles MLA did for the community of Deer Island. Deer Island has 800 residents. Campobello has about 900. Deer Island has a year-round ferry. And you could say, oh, well, that's because they're just an island. There's no other way to get there. I would say that for so many people, the way through the United States, through Lubeck, that's literally not an option. And so it doesn't make sense to me that Grand Manan has a year-round, provincially and federally subsidized ferry. Deer Island, with its 800 residents, has a provincial and federally funded ferry. Campobello, with its 900 residents, magical potential tourism, fishing industry, the same things going for it that Grand Manan and Deer Island have, does not have a ferry. Like I said, in 2016, the MLA of Fundy the Isles, business person, very vested interest in the island, wanted to make sure and made it happen that the Abenaki 2 was christened 2016, boom, off and running. It cost $8 million to build that ferry. Irving did that. Hey, that's provincial jobs. And, and it runs all year round. And it supports that community. That is what Campobello deserves, nothing less. And so I'm getting a little bit worked up about this, frankly. The mayor is on record in 2023. I've read an article where the mayor of Campobello said he believes there should be a ferry. Every resident I talk to feels that it would help, especially for developers. Restaurants and food suppliers here need to get somebody to have a bond to get through the United States with food, and that is very difficult and challenging and drives costs up. There is one grocery store on this island that has been recently purchased by a new owner, and that owner immediately raised food prices. One resident today told me it was so much that he couldn't even afford to shop at the one grocery store on Campobello. So there's things like that happening that I believe the provincial MLA, who loves this place and camps at this place. I live in St. Stephen, but I love that this is 1 hour away from my doorstep. My family and I come here, vacation here. I'm getting to know the people. We love going to dinner at the porch. I can't wait to try the pier as well. It's a wonderful place. And so I can't recommend it enough, but I believe that Campobello's best days are ahead of it if and when, especially if and when, we get that year-round ferry so that Campobello gets treated the same way Deer Island and the same way Grand Manan do. We should be so proud of these islands in southwestern New Brunswick, and that means supporting them with the provincial and federal funding coming together to make that happen, okay? So I'm having a wonderful time. I'm going to get back to it, and tomorrow I'll come back at you, probably continuing what we were talking about yesterday in part 65 about housing, which again is an issue here, but I'm going to bring it back. There's this sense of there's no people coming to Campobello because there's not enough housing and buildings. There's not enough housing and buildings because people are leaving. Why are people leaving? Because there's no ferry. Why is there why are they leaving? Because there's no buildings. How come there's no buildings? Because builders can't get supplies here and construction crews because there's no ferry. Do you see how it keeps happening? Let's change that. Let's change that by voting green, having an MLA that's fighting for you, Campobello, and just a healthy, vibrant Saint Croix in 2024 and beyond. Thanks for joining me today.